Back at the Olympic Training Center again in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where we're going to talk to Steve Fraser, head coach of the U.S. Greco-Roman team, about what he expects to see in Council Bluffs this weekend. Steve Fraser, head Greco-Roman coach here at the U.S. Olympic Training Center in USA Wrestling. We're getting set for the U.S. World Team Trials, June 11th and 12th in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Before we get to the weight-by-weight previews, what's your overall feeling about how the Greco program is right now from the U.S. Open till now, and in training, and how the different camps are working to become one team, Team USA?
Well, I think we've been training very hard, very smart between the Nationals and the World Team Trials coming up next week. So I'm very pleased with how everybody's been preparing. I think a lot of guys have made some good improvements, and I think you're going to see at the World Team Trials some very good wrestling.
Well, we talk about the weight classes. One of the more exciting ones in terms of the finals of the U.S. Open was our first weight at 55 kilos. Spencer Mango and Jermaine Hodge have carved out a nice little rivalry with each other. Not to mention the depth of the weight with the other Mango, Ryan, and then Max Nowry comes up from 50 because it's not a senior level weight. Nico Trigas has been wrestling well. What do you expect to see, and what should the fans look for at 55?
Well, 55 is going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of tough kids, a lot of young kids. You got Spencer, who's more of a veteran, I guess, and Hodge too. And as you know, their match was very, very close. Spencer pulled it out in the last seconds to win. So I think you're going to see some fierce battling in that weight class. And the guy who wins, I think, will be a good prospect to win a medal in Moscow for us.
Lindsey Durlacher coming down to 55. He was going to come down for the Open, ended up going 60, didn't have that successful tournament. What do you expect out of him at 55 for the trials?
Well, I think Lindsey's definitely going to tighten up the competition. You know, Lindsey will admit to everyone that he's been around a while. He's kind of on the tail end of his career, but let me tell you, he's serious about making the team. He's serious about winning another medal. So I think he's just going to inject a lot more excitement and pizzazz to the fight at that weight class.
Building for the future, there is quite some depth there. Ryan Mango, Max Nowry, Paul Telgren, Trigas has still got college eligibility left from Ohio State. And then a guy who had a real impressive field junior tournament this past weekend, Jesse Thielke, a high school kid at the weight, kind of explosive.
Yeah, all those guys are great up-and-coming kids, and I'm very excited that we've got some very good prospects, future prospects, very tough juniors and university-age guys that will be our future. Thielke, very, very tough high school kid, love his attitude, love his fight, along with...
How about his throws? You like his throws?
Love his throws.
He likes to plant people.
I like that about him very much. And, you got Mango, who was very explosive as well, very quick and powerful, and loves Greco. And so Max, all of them. So I'm very excited about that whole group of young kids coming up.
As we move to 60, as we alluded to before the interview, that we didn't get to see the final because of the injury with Chad Van Diver and Nate Piasecki. And what do you expect to see at 60? It's a weight dominated by the military camps. You got some of the other Sunkist NYAC camps in there, but typically the military has done really well at this weight. And what do you expect to see at 60?
Well, again, 60. We got some tough hombres there too. Piasecki did a nice job at winning the thing, and it's very powerful, explosive guy. And then Van Diver, of course, wrestled hard and banged his head up and couldn't finish the match. But But I think with Joe Betterman coming back into the mix, I think that's going to make it very interesting. Of course, Joe was having a great year before he hurt himself in Russia, and he seems to be looking pretty good. I watched him wrestle today in practice, and he's looking very good condition, powerful in shape. So it should be pretty interesting. 60
Also,
for sure.
Also had last year's world teamer Jeremiah Davis, who was a disappointing third at the U.S. Open. From what you've seen of him, do you think he's geared to get it back at that 1-2 spot,
Oh
make
yeah,
another world team?
Jeremiah Davis is one talented guy, and again, very fast, very explosive. You know, Jeremiah, any one of those guys could be our guy. Jeremiah, Izaki, Betterman, Van Dyke, or whoever. So may the best man win there. And again, like at 55, I think the guy who wins there is going to be a good prospect at winning a medal in Moscow.
As we move to 66, there seems to be a clear separation in terms of veteran and youth. As your top two guys, Glenn Garrison, Farouk Saheen, have been around a long time. Farouk, world team member last year. And then below that, you've got the youngsters like Ben Sanchez and Ellis Coleman that really make the weight somewhat dynamic. 66, a medal threat with Garrison or Farouk, should they both make either of them make the team. As far as, you know, what's it going to take for maybe these young guys to knock off the old guys, or are the old guys just a little too seasoned right now?
Well, what it'll take for the young guys to knock off the old guys is them to out wrestle them, and not to probably to respect them, but not to you know, not to go out after it, you know, you know, you mentioned Sanchez and Coleman. They're both very tough young guys. And our experienced guys with Farouk and Garrison, they're very tough and experienced. So it'll be interesting. You know, Farouk and Garrison are on the same team, the Army team, and they're in our training room here, so they practice a lot together, and probably are pretty good friends. So I can't wait to see what happens there.
And in terms of the depth, Dennis Hall just stepped away from the USO OEC this week, and a lot of those young guys who come through there, you know, we talk about it constantly about how important that program is to what you're doing as far as the head coach of the entire Greco program. But, you know, what is the biggest push to get the youngsters to wrestle Greco at Northern Michigan and like supplement this weight class? Because if you look, you know, take the Northern Michigan kids out of it, maybe these kids are wrestling college somewhere, maybe they're not interested in Greco.
Well, you know, our challenge is always to try to get the best high school Greco-Roman wrestlers to come and wrestle Greco full-time in our program up in Northern Michigan. You know, we're competing with a lot of college programs, and a lot of the normal way to do things in our country for the last 100,000 years has been to go the NCAA route. And so breaking that is a very difficult thing to do. What we want to do is provide an opportunity for guys that love Greco-Roman wrestling and that are good at it. We want to be able to provide them a full college scholarship, which we do at Northern Michigan University in that program, and help them achieve their Olympic and world medal dreams. And so it's always a challenge to get the best guys, but we're going to continue to recruit very hard and try to get those guys in our program.